Welcome in to kick off the tip-off with Noah and Gage. We're going to hit on Mountaineer Nation and the snub that the Mountaineers men's basketball team was given by Bubba. Given by a guy named Bubba, Gage.
This is historically, and this is, everybody on X said the same thing. I believe it was the 111, really well-respected bracket makers that are not on the board or the chair that makes the bracket had WVU as a lock to get in the tournament, Noah. 111 out of 111. And WVU ends up as the first team out. There's a million ways that we can start this. And it's really, I don't want to say emotional, because emotional seems to be like a sad, description. This is more of like anger, because did we expect anything less? And as Mountaineer Nation, I mean, this is just another kick in the nuts. This is nothing new, and it's only going to get worse, as we'll kind of talk about later on in this video. Noah, I think DeVries is going to be out the door heading back home to Iowa. So, I guess I'll start with this before we talk about kind of the teams that got in ahead of WVU. I'm sitting here as a realistic fan telling all of you right now, if they were to make the tournament, Noah, like you mentioned, they probably would have got a good matchup with San Diego State or Xavier if they would have replaced Texas, or, vice versa. I'm not sure that they even win a game, the play-in game in the tournament, or if they even win that, do they beat the six seed that they would have faced? I don't know. We're talking about a team that lost to Colorado, Noah. Colorado. They did it to themselves, unfortunately. When you lose a game like that, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I think once we lost that, it just opened the door for them to slide UNC right in.
So I'm a big person in controlling your destiny, like control your own destiny. You beat Colorado and you go get your ass beat by Houston the next day. Correct? Or would it have been one team between? No, it would have been Houston, right? Because that would have been I think they would have played Houston the following day if they beat Colorado.
They would have played Houston the following day. Correct.
So just making sure I'm there. You go get your ass beat by Houston, but you're in the tournament, right? You're in the tournament if you beat Colorado. We should have taken care of business, but we didn't. But we took care of business a long, long time before that tournament, right? And the thing is, for me, Michigan wins. Michigan wins their conference tournament and doesn't move at all, right? Doesn't move up past Wisconsin to take that number one seed, or Maryland, these teams, to go past them. So you're saying right there that the conference tournament doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter, right? And then you go ahead and leave West Virginia out because they lose their first round. And that's obviously why they were left out, is because they lost to Colorado and they were able to sneak one of those blue bloods in the tournament that didn't deserve it, right?
Yeah, and the four teams obviously in ahead of them, Noah: San Diego State, Xavier, North Carolina, and Texas. And I think out of the three teams, the one team that we can eliminate for sure is Texas. I believe that they earned their way into the tournament. Would you agree with me?
Best conference. They did what they need to. They were that is the perfect team that it's like Texas, West Virginia, very even in the regards marks of like, do you have a resume? Both teams have a resume.
Mm-hmm. Texas 7-10 and quad 1 wins, like you mentioned, in the SEC. Quad 2 3-5. Outside of the SEC, outside of the SEC, their only quad 2 loss was to UConn, who at the time was ranked 25. So really not even a bad loss. And then all of the rest of their quad 2 losses are SEC teams. Arkansas, the South Carolina is probably one of their worst losses. Georgia and Oklahoma, no quad 3 or quad 4 losses. And then obviously the quad 1, you run the gauntlet of SEC. But, outside of that, Noah, let's just take a look at the three other teams. We're talking about Xavier, a team out of the Big East. Okay. The Big East, 21-11, 13-7, 1-9 in quad 1, Noah. Losses to Michigan, Cincinnati, UConn, Marquette, St. John's, St. John's again, Creighton, Villanova, Marquette. Quad 2 losses to Big 12 TCU and a Georgetown team that WVU beat.
They
and
beat
then
Cincinnati twice.
Yeah.
Gage?
Yeah. San Diego State, quad 1 record, 3-6. Quad 2 record, 5-2. A team that plays in the Mountain West, who we agree is a respected conference, but they're not on the level of even ACC, Noah. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe this year actually, that ACC shade, but I mean, 3-6 in quad 1, losses to Gonzaga, which you don't, got stuck here, but lost to number 3 Gonzaga. That's whatever, okay? Lost to Oregon, that's whatever. But losses to New Mexico, Colorado State, Utah State, and Boise State in the quad 1. And then, I mean, let's get into what is the absolute disrespect of North Carolina being the last team in this tournament, Noah. 1-12 in quad 1. What the hell are we doing? What in the hell are we doing putting this team in the tournament because of net ranking? Well, their net ranking is higher than the other teams. Net ranking is higher than WVU. Are you kidding me? We're in a year where all you hear from the committee and people announcing games, WVU picks up a nice quad 1 win for their resume. North Carolina picks up they didn't say this much because it only happened once. Right here, North Carolina picks up a quad 1 win over UCLA. Now come selection time, you're going to paint the picture, well, their net ranking's higher, so let's put them in over West Virginia, who quad 1 went 6-10. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, essentially what you're telling me is that regular season doesn't matter. Go ahead in the off season and schedule, no shade, St. Francis, Pennsylvania, put them on the damn schedule, play your quad 3s, play your quad 4s to begin the season, and wait till the Big 12, because that shit doesn't matter. You can lose all the games you want outside of your conference. Then when you get in your shit conference like the ACC was this year, go ahead and play your games, and it doesn't matter if you win or lose. We'll go ahead and give you a bone. You can lose to Duke. You can lose to Clemson. You can lose to Louisville. All these teams that were actually worth something in the ACC. And you know what? UNC doesn't show up all year, but somehow they still get a bid. West Virginia shows up at times in the year. Let's just say 6 times when they got those big quad 1 wins. Let's not forget Iowa State's a 3 seed in this tournament, Gage. A 3 seed, and we beat them. Kansas is a 7 seed, and we beat them on their home court. And you're saying we're not worthy?
Arizona was a 4 seed, and we beat them on a neutral court. Same with Gonzaga at the Battle for Atlantis tournament.
So These are all, yeah, correct. That was in the tournament at the beginning of the season. Shout out Beat Ups. Watch that one at Beat Ups with G Herbo here. Rolling into it, it just, everything adds up to why do you play a tough schedule out like non-conference games, and then what does it matter if you beat big teams? You should just go ahead and stop and don't play against the top 5 in the league, your 1 through 5 teams. Don't even play your starters, because it doesn't matter if you beat them. It doesn't matter if you beat them, Gage, because you could just go ahead and walk in. You can say, hey, look, here's my pass. I'm UNC, and my AD's the chairman on this thing. We'll go ahead and slip you right in. And have a favorable matchup when they get into the tournament. We just went over it.
Versus Ole Miss, correct. And the thing that UNC fans are using to kind of knock down WVU and why they should be in is their net ranking, which is all they want to talk about, which is absurd because net ranking means jack shit if you don't win the games, Noah. And then the other thing is, well, you lost to Colorado in your conference tournament. Like you just said, they've came out and basically told us that conference tournament games don't matter. So the Colorado loss goes down as a quad 2, Noah. So overall in the record, it doesn't matter that it was conference tournament, okay? North Carolina has a quad 3 loss versus Stanford, which was a home game for them.
Yeah, it makes zero sense. And for anybody to look you in the eyes and tell you that North Carolina deserved it more than West Virginia, and this is deserved it more than Indiana, you're going to have a hard time selling me that UNC deserved it more than Indiana 5 days out of the week, Gage. 5 days out of the week, I'm choosing Indiana.
Indiana, a team 4-13 versus quad 1 in a way better Big Ten than what the ACC is. And, no quad 2, quad 3, or quad 4 losses. So that's even better than the UNC, but Indiana, similar to West Virginia, right? Indiana net ranking 54, WVU net ranking 51, UNC 36. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm still mind blown about this today. It is still mind blowing to me. Are we giving participation awards because you got blown out by Duke the first time you played them? You lost 87-70. You lost to them at home 82-69, and then you finally gave them a game on a neutral court where Cooper Flagg was out a major. Was that the game that he was out the complete game, Noah?
Yeah, when he was out out the complete game because he rolled it the day before. And here's the thing, though, people. This is what kills me too. People are going to come here and say, quad one, quad one doesn't matter because a quad one win against let's say West Virginia, or a quad one win against, I'm trying to think of a mid-tier team in the Baylor, is the same as a quad one win against Auburn. No, it's not. There's quad 1A, there's quad 1B, and this whole net bullshit they want to roll with here, it is absolutely mind-boggling that you give a team points for losing the game. Oh, you only lost by 6, but you lost by 20. It doesn't matter. You lost the basketball game.
You lost the game.
As good as the team across from you. Whether it was against a team that you were worse than or a team that you were better than and you didn't show up to play, it doesn't matter. We're rewarding teams for a plus-minus differential where there should be no plus-minus differential. I really want to hit on the quad 1A, quad 1B. People do not understand that. Inside of your quads, yes, a quad 1 win versus Houston and a quad 1 win versus Baylor, yeah, those are not equal. They understand that. Quad 1A is Houston. Quad 1B is Baylor. It is as simple as that. And you know what? Here's the thing. UNC only got it done once against one quad team. It doesn't matter, 1A, 1B, it doesn't
versus
matter.
A very shaky UCLA team who ended up being a 7 seed in the tournament.
I mean, how many teams can you go down in the Big 12 or in the bracket, in the big bracket, and say West Virginia beat? So many. Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, Iowa State. I mean, oh my gosh. It absolutely fires me up. And the thing is, though, they don't even realize what they set up I'm not going to say downfall, but an absolutely down to the program that we're going to watch Darren DeVries walk out of Morgantown. This is going to be a big factor in him walking.
Yeah, so as if it couldn't, well, this is a typical factor for WVU fans, is if it's already worse, but guess what? It's going to get even worse, and somehow we continue to survive through this. I saw today, Darren DeVries is in a preliminary meeting with Iowa. I would assume that this is about, hey, how much NIL funds can you get me if I were to accept this job? What kind of roster can I form with the money that you're going to provide me? And Noah, this isn't a video to knock Darren DeVries. We're really appreciative for his 1 year here and what he had to deal with. Obviously, Tucker DeVries out for the season. He came in late, so didn't necessarily have the best players to pull from in the transfer portal, but still formed a team that should have made the tournament. And did they have their highs? Yes, and it certainly came with some lows. We were at the Arizona State game where they lost. They just had some inexcusable losses. We're not pushing that away and acting like that's not a factor as to why they didn't make it. But you can't sell me on the bullshit of getting UNC in over them when all you preach is wins and the like you mentioned, quad A, quad B.
Fran Fraschilla, he is very intuitive in how things work in college basketball, and he hit on something today. Put a little quote on Twitter. It might have been last night. I can't quote it, but essentially what he said is, Bubba says, I wasn't even in there when UNC was discussed because it's not legal due to rules and regulations.
But you were in there when the other teams were getting discussed.
You were in there whenever the free hot dogs and the free ice cream and the free chicken wings and the free pizza was all coming around and you were bullshitting with your buddies. Yeah, that's when you were there. You don't want to, if you and I were in a room and you have a feeling about something, right? And I know deep down in your heart that's what you want to happen, and I'm your buddy, I'm going to try and make it happen. I'm going to go at bat for you, right? And that's what happened with the committee. That is as simple as that. All the things that UNC, all the conversations outside of that committee, when they were talking about it, Bubba's probably, oh man, UNC, a tough year this year, but I mean, they're pretty good. I've been watching them in practice, and they're solid team. That's what he's been on all year when he's talking to these guys, and you see it come to fruition right here. And I hope he takes that bonus. I hope he takes that bonus, and he feels guilty. He feels guilty for taking that bonus he gets for UNC making the tournament.
This is exactly, you led me right into what I wanted to talk about. This is from Bill Gillespie, and this will be up on the screen when I edit it. How about the UNC athletic director Bubba Cunningham making an extra $104,166 for the UNC Tar Heels making the NCAA tournament? He also just happens to be the chair of March Madness. Are we talking about legal fraud, Noah? Legal fraud. This is unbelievable. And here's Chris Anderson, a well-respected guy in the West Virginia media, a guy that both you and I follow and really respect, right? NCAA tournament chair and UNC athletic director cites Torvik rankings and WAB as new metrics used to pick this year's teams for the NCAA tournament right before explaining why UNC was in and WVU was out. Okay. Torvik rankings, WVU 34, UNC 36. All right. Well, how about the other one? The WAB, the WAB, right? WVU 41, UNC. You want to take a guess, Noah? Because it's 42. They outdid them in both categories.
Yeah, it's as simple as that, Gage. There's no way you can't look at it and say this was a fair bid. It was as simple as this. It was the buddy system. Hey, I got your back. You do this. I scratch your back. You scratch mine. That's how UNC made the tournament, and that's outside of being a West Virginia fan. Indiana has a better resume than UNC. The ACC
I feel for Indiana, man. I mean, I feel like now a good connection of WVU and Indiana fans are going to become mutual, because if Indiana gets in over UNC, at least it's like it's more so on the fact of like, yeah, that loss to Colorado really put shit. It created our fate, right? But this isn't the case, man. They screwed us, Indiana, two teams that went through the entire season just like UNC did and just deserved it more. I mean, that's simply what it comes down to. And
I would have loved it for Mike Woodson.
What? Yeah, and one more thing before we talk and end this thing about DeVries. How about him coming on and saying the fact that, well, we take player availability into concern, and Tucker DeVries being out, just basically saying this isn't a team that we want to see. Are you shitting me? Tucker DeVries was out. Tucker DeVries was out, Noah, since what? Mid-November?
He played 8 games for West Virginia this year.
We're talking about a guy, Noah, who has a medical red shirt for this year. That's how early the injury happened.
They don't watch college basketball, Gage. You would have it better. Take every bracketologist you know. Slam them in a room. Make your decision. That's the best way. It doesn't. I see Twitter pages ran better and have better explanations on teams making it and teams not making it. I see those pages and I'm like, man, this guy deserves a platform. This guy knows what he's talking about.
T3 bracketology. One that comes to my mind.
Phenomenal. And it's like everything he says, he can back up. These guys don't watch college basketball, and it's as simple as that. You can look at wins and losses, and you could do this or that, but let's just look at the conference, man. Look at the conference, and you can't tell me in any way, shape, or form the top 4 in the ACC. Let's actually not say that. If outside of Duke, the rest of the teams in the ACC would be mid-tier in the Big 12. They would be West Virginia in the Big 12. That is what they'd be. So you're going to go ahead and reward a team who's not even mid-tier in the ACC, and you're going to say, yeah, you're better than a mid-tier team in the Big 12. Bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. We know how it happened. I get infuriated speaking about it, and that's not even because, like I said, do I think Do I think WVU would have made it far in March? No. They were very shaky, very inconsistent. Unless we started hitting a lot more shots than we did in the regular season, we would have struggled, right? But you just told everybody in America that the regular season does not matter because your resume can go up against anybody's. And if it's Kentucky, UNC, Duke, these teams that have a big name, they won't make it in. You won't make it in over them.
And one more thing, just while it's in my face before we transition to DeVries, Ohio State also 6 quad 1 wins, Noah, so similar to Indiana and ourselves. All three of our fan bases, I'm sure, are just absolutely furious with UNC. And of course, I would just love for anybody watching this, if you are a Indiana or Ohio State fan, I mean, please put your respective thoughts about it too, because I'm sure you're just as pissed off as we are. But transitioning, and we'll just, spend about 5 minutes or so here on DeVries. He's having a meeting here with Iowa that's reported. I mean, where are you, Noah, on a panic meter of like 0 to 10?
I love DeVries. I think if he were to stay in West Virginia, which unfortunately I'm leaning to the fact that he is not staying in West Virginia, I think he would have a very long, successful career here. I think he would have been Bob Huggins. I think he would have been the next guy to be here for a very long time. It's very, very few and often in between you find two back-to-back hires that you can trust, over that course of time, back-to-back, with Huggins, and then you get DeVries right behind it. I don't blame DeVries. For leaving if he decides to go that way. Because I was home. We saw Bob Huggins leave K-State for West Virginia because this was his home after 1 year into the program. I'm not panicked. I'm not panicked because I love Ren Baker. Like, let's be honest here. I love DeVries and I hope he stays, and I'd love to be able to see Tucker in the Mountaineer uniform again next year.
Ren Baker he'll make another phenomenal hire if it comes to that.
Like, He's been great, so there's no way to think that he's not great at his job. I'm not panicked about DeVries leaving, but if we're getting into it deep down, if Iowa hires DeVries, it would be absolutely, unless he's willing to take a fat pay cut from what the Mountaineers are paying him, it would be so stupid for them to do that, because we've talked about it, Will Wade, Ben McCollum, Chris Beard. You have guys that are kind of in places that basketball isn't taken, very serious.
Jared Calhoun.
You have guys that are. That's why I'm not worried for West Virginia. That is why Calhoun ties to West Virginia, Fairmont State. Calhoun would be a phenomenal hire for the Mountaineers. Chris Beard is another guy where you could probably poach him from Ole Miss because Ole Miss is going to spend their money on football. We know that, right?
And as far as SEC powerhouses go, like, what is the true ceiling for Ole Miss? As far, kids are sitting down getting recruited by SEC schools. I'd say it's fair to say, Noah, that most 75 to 80% of those kids would even pick Arkansas over Ole Miss.
Oh yeah, agreed. And here's the thing for me. If I'm Iowa and I'm the athletic director and DeVries comes in and says, what are you able to give me? What are, this and that, blah, 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 going back and forth. Why would I listen to numbers when I already know I've got to pay? I forget what DeVries' buyout is off the top of my head. I think it might be.
I believe it's $8 million.
$8 million. So $8 million. You have to play West Virginia University $8 million. And then you have to afford the coach. When you could go to Ben McCollum right down the road and say, hey, we need you to turn our program around. Can you do it? Hand him the keys, cut Drake $100,000 because God only knows what that buyout fee is. Way less than $8 million, I can guarantee you that. And you go on with your way. Do I think DeVries is going to leave because it's his dream job? Yes. If he wasn't going to leave, would he already came out and said, hey, would he already accepted Ren's offer in extension and money? Yes, he would have. So, yeah, I think DeVries is gone. Do I think it's bad for West Virginia? Yes, because he started to build something here. But I think there are many options that you can go with coach this year. If you're going to lose a coach, this is a good year to lose a coach, Gage. This is a good year to lose a coach.
I agree. Well touched on, Noah. And I'm good on things, man. I think you kind of hit on, if he does leave, I think we're in great hands still with Ren Baker and a lot of good names that will be, available for hire. So I'm all good, man. Let you get your final thoughts and we'll be done here.
Just hitting on committee, do a better job. Mountaineer Nation, if DeVries ends up on a plane to Iowa and he's leaving and you see Tucker in that Iowa uniform, he's going to his home. Don't be upset with him. He once said that was his dream job.
I like that you're ending it with this because, I've heard people already talk about what DeVries leaves, F him and, we'll hate him, yada, yada. This is similar, Noah, to NBC Sports calls me and says, hey, we'll offer you $1 million to come talk sports on our, platform. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm going to stay here and talk with my friend on our 32 subscriber YouTube account. Like, I'm good. I'll pass on the money. I want to do it for free here. That's kind of the equivalence of it. And yeah, I mean, if that is the case, two things. Thank you, DeVries, for a year and the potential. I'm sure we'll talk about till our grave for what he could have done here. And then thank you to all the guys, especially Javon Small. Absolutely hate that kid is never going to get to play in an NCAA tournament. One of the guards I feel like when we talk about WVU basketball, we'll mention with Javon Carter, Jawan Staten, Miles McBride, and some legacy guys. So can't thank those guys enough.
Like I said, as much as DeVries is going to steal the headlines this week, we do appreciate the players and what they were able to give. The biggest thing when watching this team and what was so fun to watch this team this year, Gage, was just the absolute grit, like determination. Like Andre, I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, Andre with those nose plugs after that broken nose, running around the floor. Like that is grit, right? Like a huge shout out to all the players. Like you said, Javon Small, no one ever deserved it more to make it to March than him, and he just doesn't get it. But if they decide to stick around, I'd love to see what run. And I think that's another big thing. Just want to hit on this right before we go, Gage. A big tell on why I think DeVries is leaving is we didn't accept any postseason, which I know it's kind of giving into the snub. It's giving into the snub of the March, right? March Madness. But additionally, that was a time for Javon Small, like a lot of these guys, their last games, last possible chance of playing college basketball. So I think that's kind of why I'm leaning towards DeVries is leaving, because they would have wanted to play that game.
Absolutely. So guys, as always, we appreciate you listening in, and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching are just as frustrated as we are. So appreciate you guys sticking around and like, comment, subscribe, and share for sure. So